Good morning.
Good morning.
What would you like to talk about today?
Well, yesterday I made an observation.
Observation.
We were eating corn on the cob.
Oh, is that why this is sitting here?
Yes.
Yeah, I see that. Okay.
And you were eating your corn differently than I was eating it.
Huh.
So you were eating it around this way, while I was eating it horizontally. So if the corn was a spreadsheet, you'd be eating the columns and I was eating the rows.
This has deep spiritual implications, I have a feeling.
It does. So one of the things I notice about how you and I create or complete tasks, projects, is very different. And the way we eat corn on the cob reflects that way of creating.
I'd never considered that before.
So you create in a very circular way. I create or complete my tasks in a very linear way. So what that means is I go to A. I don't go to B until I complete A.
Yes.
I go A, B, C, and I complete each step along the way.
Right.
And that's linear. That's
Yes.
eating the corn on the cob in rows.
Right. Okay.
However, you create in a very circular way, like the way you eat corn.
Right.
And that circular way of completing a task is you start with A and you go to C, D, M, Z, T, W. You have all the plates up in the air at one time, and it completes, but it's a very different way of creating than how I create.
Right.
And somehow between the two of us, it seems to work. It seems to work.
Does.
Yeah.
So what do you gain and what do you miss by having just one choice and doing it linearly?
What do I gain and what do I
Miss.
I think it's the right way to do it.
Of course. So here, let me tell you what I find circular, what we call circular, is so it has 3 or 4 components. It allows me to do what I can do until I can't do it anymore, and then I can leave it there until I get the phone call back or I get a response from, and then I can progress. But in the meantime, there's this other piece over here that I'm still waiting for, and the call, and it just came. So now I can pick that up again and begin to do this.
So
There's one more part.
Okay.
So also, a lot of times, I can take steps 1, 2, 3, and then realize, let me rethink this, and go to where I want to be, and then kind of back it out and realize based on 1, 2, 3, what information did I gain that I didn't have when I was at step 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, and so now I can basically go, am I still on the right track? Here's my end result. Is this going to get me quicker or slower to my end result? But a lot of times I will also find, this is in the circular part, that intuitively I kind of ask the question, well, what if I go over here to get more information, even though it may or may not relate, but I think it'll relate, usually does, and then I bring that back. So I'm moving all over the place from your linear point of view, and works for me. But there's also a linear piece in this, like, okay, now I need to do 1, 2, 3.
So let me ask you that question back. So I understand what you just ran out is what you gain by being circular. What do you not gain? What do you lose by being circular?
Nothing, because I'm correct. So that's a good question. So what do I lose? So I may find, and I do, that I sometimes leave a project unfinished. Why are you laughing? So unfinished because I don't have enough information for myself right at that point. So I may lose time, and I also, because of the high demand of many go-to projects that somebody demands, I may wind up having to do other things over, why are you laughing? Over here before I get over there again to get back to my desired project. So that may get in the way. So it's a good question. It's like, how do you logically think and how do you intuitively think? There's a masculine aspect and a feminine aspect of flow and structure.
And I think what I gain and what I lose, what I gain is an orderliness.
Right.
I know at any point exactly what's going on and the status of this project. And there's a level of management that I'm able to do if I work linearly that
Sure.
I don't feel when I have it all happening at once.
Yeah.
And when it's all happening at once, I'm not present time, and I'm kind of out in front of myself. I'm juggling.
Sure. I think.
So that's what I lose, and what I gain is the present time managing it. Or
Yeah, comfortable.
It's
I know where I am.
I know where I am.
Yeah. What I think gets in the way for me in that linear process sometimes is if I stay to that and all of a sudden a new opportunity related to what we're doing comes up and it's 4 steps out, I can't pay attention to it. I mean, linearly, it's like I don't know, I have to stay here and do what I'm supposed to be doing right here. And then sometimes that goes away. You know, it's like an
That new
opportunity.
option.
Yeah, so the new option shows up, and it would be really nice to engage here, but I can't engage it yet if I'm being real linear and continuing along this path. And so I miss an opportunity. If I was to be able to say, yes, we'd love to go to the show with you. When do we want to do that? And then I put it into place over here, and I will eventually get to the place where that fits into the puzzle. So that's part of my circular thing. And I think so this is a good conversation because it's what gets in people's way is I'm very linear, I'm very linear or I'm very circular. And I have a way of doing things myself, and the other choice gets in my way. And I think that's really what we're talking about. What gets in your way? What prevents you from? And I've got my routine, and I can't allow other things into it.
Well, it's a style.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable doing my linear way, and you're comfortable doing your circular way. If I was to do circular, I would feel unmanaged. It would be out of my ability to control or manage the thing. And if you were doing linear, that would get in your way of creating, because you like having all the plates up in the air.
Yeah. So I don't think it gets in your way. I think it makes me uncomfortable would be the better statement. I'm uncomfortable if I can't do it the way that makes me comfortable. So if you were completely all by yourself being the artist and it was just like you do what you do whenever you do it, then that style would work fine because you're basically doing what you want to do on your terms. But when you all of a sudden have a business to run, and then it's like, oh, well, we didn't do this, but we have to do this. Sometimes you have to pull things into the mix that isn't in the linear flow. So, and that would get you uncomfortable if that was happening, but that never happens in our business.
See, I'm trying to think of an example. So we want to start a new class, create a new program. And so you're already designing the content of it and what you're going to teach. Oh, this is a good example. So you're already designing what you want to teach and who to offer it to and what color it is and how long it is and all the aspects of it. Whereas I'm linear, saying, okay, what do we need to do in the store? What do we need to do in emails? What do we need to do with these pieces to make that happen?
Yeah. And that's incredibly valuable because I don't necessarily get to that point until I'm really thinking, all right, I got a good idea of how this is going to all work. Now, where do I put it in? So the collaboration between the linear and the circular work really well if you say, I've got to do these things, can you stop and tell me, like we just did a few minutes ago,
Right.
tell me this, and this, and then I can do
Right.
linear while you figure out
Yeah.
this piece over here.
Yeah, that's exactly, because I'm real good at the technology end of it, and I think technology end people are more linear.
Well, it's an orderliness.
Yeah, it's an orderliness, and
Yeah.
you have to be orderly when you're running a business. However, you also have to be circular so that you can create these big things.
Right. So it's kind of the accountant, technologist, IT person having real specific structure, and the marketing type of person, the executive, the whatever, having to figure out how to.
Yeah.
And so, but it is useful to recognize kind of what you are, and the question is, how does it support you, and how does it get in your way? Because what I've watched with people all through life is it starts to get out of the box of their box, and they begin to collapse. They get upset and angry, and I don't know what to do with this. Whereas if the question is, if you had permission to simply ask a question, wait, this isn't in my comfort zone, how do we get here, and help me walk through this so I know how I can proceed? But people don't do that. I mean, people do it, but
Yeah.
a lot of people who get uncomfortable and then retreat or avoid,
Give up.
give up. So part of it is, how do I allow myself to venture into circular from linear, or linear from circular, without making it a challenge?
Well, I notice my perspective over all these years of working together, that at the beginning I did not understand how you were operating. I thought you were just wild and not.
Oh, I thought it was brilliant and remarkable.
Until I had the understanding of I'm linear and you're circular.
Right, I
it was
remember.
frustrating for me because I couldn't wrap my head around it, and because I was doing it the right way. And so as soon as I was able to identify the two styles, it was so much easier. And even now, we'll start a project, and you'll make the suggestions, say, and have these big ideas, and I'll say, okay, wait, I'm linear, so I need to know where it's going to go in the store. I need to know the pieces,
Right.
And it's not frustrating anymore. In fact, it's amusing.
Yeah, well, that's really right answer. It's like, okay, I've got a way of navigating the circumstance to my comfort level, and I can recognize there are 2-3 different configurations here, and I don't have to be locked into mine, but I will allow myself to understand them and then bring that into my thinking structure and move it forward. So this is really a big deal conversation, and one of the reasons I say that is as this shift is really unfolding, and it's going to be coming multiple changes at you from multiple directions. And many of those changes, let's just use these terminology, are going to be circular, nondescript, start, stop, and then start a week later again, but interrupted in the meantime. And many of them are going to be linear, that simply requires an attention span to be devoted to that in order to, get the garage door down before the flood happens. And so if you get distracted too much so in one, there's going to be a consequence from the other. So that's a useful conversation, really.
To recognize what your style is, and it might even be a mishmash. You might have a percentage of both, and I think we both do have a percentage.
Yeah, let's define it. Mismatch is right on one hand, but also it's, if you can manage it, it's a tremendous reset of resources to be able to figure out something without getting caught up in the, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And in some of those cases, by staying with the process that you are inclined to do, with these changes that are coming, you're going to basically make an assumption, oh, this is what I need to do to get to this point. But really where the spiritual transition is happening, that point may never arrive. You know, just like people keep talking about, well, when it gets back to normal after COVID virus, it's not going to get back to normal. There is no going back to whatever that normal definition was. And there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more interruptions along the way before something kind of stabilizes at a level that you can exhale. So having 2 choices, 3 choices, skilled concepts this way,
Valuable.
valuable.